Peace, family. It's your brother, Marc Lamont Hill. You're watching the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel. I want to welcome everybody to Night School. Every night, Monday to Friday at 9 p.m. That's right, 9 p.m. Eastern. I'm here on the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel, and I am offering analysis of the biggest stories, the most compelling ideas, and the most deep and profound conversations going on in our world. This is not a podcast. It's not a TV show. It is a global classroom. And that's why we're here tonight. Happy Friday to everybody. Again, this is the new time. We used to be later, but y'all said 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern made more sense. And I said, you know what? I'm going to always listen to my audience. So 9 o'clock on Friday night, I'm right here with y'all. Monday to Thursday, Monday to Friday, 9 o'clock, same time. So make sure you tune in. Make sure you share the information, share the content, and also spread the word that we are up and running every single night. We got a lot to cover tonight, and I'm going to make sure that we do it. But before we do that, I want to give some shouts out to people. History Discover is somebody here who is a member of the channel. I want to thank you. Some of y'all are members, and some of y'all got some gifted donations, some gifted memberships. Either way, I love y'all, and I'm grateful for y'all. BW, welcome back. BW was here night before last when I was here, and last night. Karen D, shout out to you as always. By the way, when we come in, if y'all new to Night School, in the comment section, when you come in, we usually write present. Again, it's Night School, so we want to make sure you get your attendance. So make sure you write present so I can give you a shout out on the attendance. Bradecita Brujita, good to see you. Rose Ability, shout out to you. Wanda Chetman, always good to see you. See, I said your name all proper. Wanda Chetman. Rashandra, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Mike Boy, thank you for joining us. Omega, a young legend here on the channel. Thank you, and it's good to see you as always. Farah, peace to you. By the way, Omega asked a wonderful question the last couple of nights that got the conversation going. Chad Zichterman. Chad, I'm trying to figure out the answer to that too, man. I'm trying to figure that out too. Odette Marie, Isaac Smith, Kawa, shout out to you all. Honey, shout out to you. Rachel, to you, if I didn't say it already. Miriam Manjera, Pamela Jones, shout out to everybody here. Oh my God, Odette Marie came out the gate swinging. 5 channel memberships. She just gifted 5 Marc Lamont Hill memberships. As people enter the room, as people getting started with us tonight, I wanted to shout y'all out. Again, people are still coming in and they'll have to catch up because we got a lot to catch up on. But I wanted to make sure that I shouted you out for being here and being here as members of the channel. If you aren't a member, Odette Marie just gifted 5 memberships. So maybe you can grab one of them. If not, you can be a permanent member of the channel. All you got to do is hit that join button. And starting at the bronze membership, you can become a financially supportive member of the channel. But again, I love every single one of y'all, whether y'all join or not. Pamela, Nicole, shout out to everybody here. I think I shouted everybody out. Omega said this 9 p.m. time is treating you well. You seem more energetic. Well, I got some sleep last night and I'm a little wired, but yes, 9 o'clock, you're going to get a much better mark than a 10:30 p.m. mark. I guarantee you that every single time. I appreciate just the offer. Lanzetta, peace to you. Salam to everybody. Elvis Mawini, RJ Fumkes. All right, we're gonna stop there for now. By the way, Elvis, if I didn't say shout out to you, anybody named Elvis, I got a shout out. Elvis Mawini, peace from Ireland. A lot of people hate on Elvis, and I think Elvis is a overrated celebrity, an overrated person to be sure. But that's only in relation to Little Richard. That's only in relation to the stars who didn't get their due. Let's not forget Elvis was a genius. I don't care what nobody say. I'm favored. Shout out to you. All right, y'all. So the story of the night. Let's get started. Actually, let me say one more thing. Moving forward with the schedule, 9 p.m. Eastern, we'll be here for Night School. Immediately after Night School, or soon after Night School, at 10:15 p.m. Eastern, we'll be doing our War on Gaza report every single night. Tonight, we're up to day, I believe, 224. And then after that, many nights, not every night, but many nights we'll be doing office hours. I think tonight we may do some office hours. So I want to shout everybody out about that too. Make sure you know the schedule. and make sure you understand exactly what we're talking about. All right, family. All right, let's get started. A lot to cover tonight. We're going to talk about the latest in Congress when Marjorie Taylor Greene said something quite offensive that sparked a battle, a rhetorical verbal brawl between her, AOC, and Jasmine Crockett. We're going to talk about some music tonight. Common recently appeared on a podcast and talked about rejecting certain beats from Kanye West and why. I want to get a sense of why he would do that and whether or not it made good sense to do that. And of course, I have decided to declare the Drake Kendrick Lamar battle officially over. It is over, y'all. I don't care if 15,000 songs come out. The battle is over. I'm going to tell you why it's over, and I'm going to tell you who won. But first, the evening begins on a sad note. It begins with the announcement from CNN, who reported this information and leaked this information. I don't even know if leaked is the right word. They accessed the video footage from Diddy, Sean Puffy Combs, if you don't know who I'm talking about, from March 5th, 2016, allegedly. It's a compiled video clip from multiple angles. And this video clip of Sean Combs, Diddy, shows, according to CNN, a violent encounter between Diddy and Cassie, his then girlfriend, in the Intercontinental Hotel in Century City, Los Angeles. Now, CNN, who released this information, I'm not sure where they got it from. It's unclear what their source is, but CNN verified the location based on publicly available photos of the former hotel's interior. So they did some sleuthing themselves in order to find out exactly where this information was. But in the video, which I'm not going to show you tonight, there's trigger warnings all over the place. I don't want night school to be the place where you see this. But if you want to see the video, I did shoot something earlier today. If you go on the Marc Lamont Hill official channel, you can see the full video, which is not anywhere else except very, very rare places. You can get the full video from multiple angles and a full narration of everything that happened. But for tonight, what I want to talk about very quickly is just an overview. In the video, Cassie Ventura exits a hotel room, walks to a bank of elevators. Diddy, also known as Sean Combs, that's his government name, is holding a towel around his waist. He runs down a hall after Cassie. He grabs her by the back of the neck and throws her to the floor, still holding his towel closed with one hand. He then turns to kick her. The video shows. If you've seen the video, and again, independent sources have not verified that this is Diddy on the video. I feel very confident that it's Diddy on the video. CNN feels confident that it's Diddy on the video. TMZ feels confident that it's Diddy on the video. But I have to say, it has not been independently verified. But on the video, this person who looks an awful lot like Sean Diddy Combs is standing over Cassie Ventura, who looks like Cassie Ventura. He then gets her belongings. He retrieves her purse. He retrieves a suitcase from the floor near the elevators. He then turns around and kicks Cassie again, allegedly, as she lies motionless on the floor. Now, in between these kicks is about 4 seconds, which is noteworthy in terms of when you think about the state of mind of a person who kicks somebody, waits 4 seconds, and then kicks them again. He then drags her by the sweatshirt toward what seems to be their room before walking away. Ventura is then seen getting up, according to CNN. She gets her stuff, and she tries to use the hotel phone. Diddy is still standing there, allegedly, in a towel and socks. He comes back. A mirror directly across from the security camera shows Diddy appearing to shove Cassie at this point. The footage, when you watch it, and I encourage people to watch it if they are doubtful about who's on it or what happened. The footage is hard to watch. It is deeply disturbing. It is deeply painful to watch. It is triggering to many people. So again, I'm not going to show it here tonight on Night School, but you can watch the video on the channel here. Just look it up. It's right here, same day, May 17th, right here on the channel. You can watch the full footage. The video leak is important for multiple reasons. First of all of the legal troubles that Diddy is confronting right now begin in November. They begin in November of 2023 when Cassie, his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, the person who seems to be getting assaulted on this videotape, when she files a civil suit against Diddy. In this civil suit, Cassie alleges that Diddy engaged in everything from rape to exploitation to domestic abuse to, I mean, she went on down the list. So many things. Maybe interstate travel, but not interstate travel, human trafficking is what I'm trying to say. And she did so because of the New York Survivors Act, which gave survivors of sexual abuse, sexual harassment, and other forms of sexual harm 1 year from 2022 until the end of November 2023 to file a civil suit, regardless of whether or not the statute of limitations had been exhausted. It was a way of allowing child survivors to come forward with their truth. It was a way to allow people who had been harmed years ago and had been obstructed through power dynamics, fear, trauma, all the things to come forward. So Cassie comes forward, and then after Cassie comes forward, things get really messy for Diddy. Things get really messy for Diddy. Why do they get messy for Diddy? Well, when he refused to settle with her behind the scenes, she released, and by she I mean Cassie. Cassie released a very, very, very detailed and troubling civil suit against Diddy. It wasn't a 2-page lawsuit. This wasn't something that was scribbled together. This wasn't something that you would take lightly if you're Diddy. But for some reason, he, despite knowing everything that could have been in that lawsuit, she decided to, he decided to fight it. The next day, she releases a 35-page lawsuit. In the 35-page lawsuit, it didn't just accuse him of doing awful things to her. It also implicated other people. It also exposed Diddy not just to legal harm, both civil and criminal, potentially, right? And we've seen all the stuff that's happened since then. But it also potentially exposes, it also potentially ruins Diddy's career. So there's the lose a bunch of money civilly. There's the maybe go to jail criminal if the government pursues or investigates and finds something illegal, which again, I don't know if that's true or not, but we know that that's what they're saying. But now there's also the reputational devastation that Diddy has undergone in the last 6 months. I mean, you got people forcing him out of his companies. You have him losing brand partnerships. You have him resigning from Revolt. You have Diddy, not appearing at the Grammys when his album Love was probably going to win the Grammy prior to all this messiness. You have a complete collapse, but you also have a series of subsequent, I don't want to call them copycat because that would be unfair and disparaging, a series of subsequent lawsuits from people like Lil Rod, the producer who says that Diddy was involved in all kinds of stuff with him, from stealing his production money to sexual harassment, sexual assault, grooming, all the things. You have people coming back from decades ago saying that Diddy was involved in sexual assaults. Again, all of it emerges like an avalanche. But the one thing Diddy had going for him, the one thing that Diddy had going for him was the benefit of, I don't want to say benefit of the doubt, because that overstates it. Let me put it differently. I'll say it differently. No one could prove anything. Even if you thought Diddy did it, you couldn't definitively say anything about Diddy that you could prove, right? There were allegations, and some of the allegations were strong, and there were witnesses, people like Gene Deal, his bodyguard, who came out and gives up all the tapes. All of it was still just speculation, right? All of it was just speculation. But here's what happens with this video. Now, any speculation has intensified because of this corroboration. Let me put it differently. In the lawsuit, Cassie mentions this incident. In her lawsuit, she says that they were at the Intercontinental Century City. She says he attacked her. She says he punched her in the face. She says he blackened her eye. She says that he paid $50,000 for the hallway security footage. She said all of that. She said all of it. And so now, and here's one more thing. What does Diddy say in response to that? Diddy says, I'm going to reproduce. This is from his Instagram. I'm reproducing it from Reddit, but this is Diddy's Instagram. On Instagram, after everything happened on December 7th, I believe, he tweeted, or he IG posted this. He said, "Enough is enough. For the last couple of weeks, I have sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation and my legacy. Sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday." This is before Lil Rod. He's talking about Cassie, among others. He said, "Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do any of the awful things being alleged. I will fight for my name, my family, and for the truth." So Diddy says everything they've said about me isn't true. Every single thing is a lie. So if Cassie gives a 35-page lawsuit and he says everything is a lie, and Lil Rod makes a lawsuit the next year, a month or two later, and everything's a lie according to Diddy. If the woman who accused her of sexual assault when she was 17 in the New York studio if she makes a claim, Diddy saying it's all a lie. If it is all a lie, if it's a lie, then Diddy will struggle to prove that he didn't do something. It's hard to prove you did not do something, right? It's hard to prove you didn't, commit a crime 10 years ago. If you did it, there's evidence. If you didn't do it, how do you have evidence that you didn't do it, right? So Diddy was banking on the fact that he could always say, look, I didn't do it, but how do I prove I didn't do it? These are just people coming after me. And because celebrities are often targets, it is plausible to some people. We also live in a rape culture. We also live in a patriarchal society. We live in a world where people want to believe that men didn't do these crimes. People want to believe that men didn't do these levels of harm. We want to believe that, right? So Diddy was getting the benefit of patriarchal doubt, the benefit of misogynist doubt, the benefit of rape culture doubt. Here's the problem, though. Now there's a videotape. Now Diddy's claim that everything is a lie has been disproven, assuming that's him on the videotape, that is not a lookalike or AI or digital misrepresentation, assuming it's him. He's now lost the benefit of the doubt. So then people are going to say, well, if Diddy lied about that, and that was a very specific story, an allegation that Cassie made, the attack, the cover-up, the amount, the hotel, if she was on the money with that, then why would we not believe Cassie moving forward? Now, again, I always believed Cassie. I always believed Cassie. I think Diddy deserves his day in court. I believe he deserves innocence until the proof of guilt in the court. But as a matter of, you know, just my gut, my spidey sense, the stories I've heard, the things I've witnessed, not about Diddy. I've never been around Diddy like that. I've only met Diddy, you know, I have a very little interaction with Diddy. But what I've witnessed among other people who work for him, have worked for him, who tell their stories, how they respond physically, viscerally, how they talk, how they engage. All the evidence circumstantially had me feeling like, yo, yeah, where there's smoke, there's fire. But now it's beyond that. There's a videotape of the fire. So this will hopefully make this matter clearer and simpler. Somebody writes in, Amin or Amin Danya says, do you think having actually seeing the offenses, that there will be more credibility for other claims leading to prosecutions? I think so. I think that people's default position is no longer he didn't do it. Now, lots of people believe survivors because the evidence, the data all suggests that we should, that our safe money is believing survivors, not perpetrators. But we have to balance that with a system that loves to lock people up and an American culture and American society that has often constructed Black men as sexual predators and misrepresented Black men. So all this stuff is in the air. But with Diddy, we don't even got to go through the nuances and complexities of history. We can just look at the video and listen to the stories. So we do that. And now that we've done that, the next person who comes out won't be doubted as much, not in the world, but just regarding Diddy. You know, now, will there be copycat allegations? Will there be people looking for a quick payday and a settlement? Sure, that's possible. There's always possible. But based on what we've seen and now the evidence that corroborates it, we have no reason to believe these folks is lying. And that's all I can say about that. We have no reason to believe that these folks is lying. All right. So what does that mean for Diddy? And then I'm going to move on to this congressional story. What does this mean for Diddy? It means that if he thought he was on the road to recovery through, you know, the kind of positive photo campaign on Instagram, if he thought that the public would forgive him or forget the allegations, that he was one hit away, one album away, one publicity stunt away from being back in the mainstream, if he thought that, and I think that was the wrong thought, he shouldn't be thinking that anymore. Puff was a billionaire. I don't know what his net worth is today, but I can imagine it has to be going in the wrong direction. You're losing your investments, you're losing your partnerships, you're losing your both ceremonial and formal titles, you know, chairman of Revolt or whatever. And you are becoming anathema in hip hop culture. Now, some of the reason hip hop is going to stop banging with you is not because hip hop hates violence or because hip hop hates misogyny or hip hop hates exploitation. It's going to be because people think Diddy's gay. I'm not saying Diddy's gay. I have no idea about Diddy's sexuality. I don't care about Diddy's sexuality. But all the jokes, all the innuendo, people are coming around, you know, with the no Diddy, you know, when somebody says something, instead of saying pause or no homo like they used to, no homo being deeply homophobic, or whatever, people now say no Diddy. That's an index of how hip hop feels about Puff right now. Even if it's just jokes, hip hop has such masculine anxieties. It's going to be hard to deal with Diddy in any form or fashion. So culturally, he's alienated. Financially, he's being liquidated, right? And then in the criminal legal system, he has potential charges looming. We don't know, but I know when Homeland Security busts in your crib with guns and tanks, it ain't to see if you paid your cable bill on time. So we'll have to see what the feds are doing there too. And then on top of all of that, the money, you know, the civil suits are going to pile up, unfortunately, and maybe some criminal suits. So we'll see what happens. We'll follow it every single day that there's news to follow. But that's it, y'all. The video is disturbing. Again, make sure you check it out. But if you care about it, but if you don't care about it, you just want to trust the reports because you want to keep your pulse steady and your soul at ease. That makes sense too. But either way, this is a huge moment, I would say, for survivors. Because there were so many people who try to say that Cassie lied or she signed up for all that she got. And look, y'all might feel like jumping into a freak off might be your personal proclivity, and now you're acting like you don't like it. I hear that argument. I disagree because I think people don't understand just how attached people can be to abusive relationships, even when it looks like they're making choices. The choices are shaped by the abuse. But even if we don't talk about freak offs, even if we don't talk about drugs, you can't watch that video and think that she signed up for that. Nobody signs up for that. So we got to figure out what to do about it as a community. We got to figure out what to do as a community, as a culture, hip hop culture and American society. So hopefully we will. Hopefully we'll have that conversation. Hopefully we'll have that analysis. I'll be right back in 30 seconds. When we come back, they're taking a short break, 30 seconds. When we come back, we're going to talk about a battle in Congress that looked like it could have been happening around the way in the hood, but instead it was in the House of Representatives. It's between Marjorie Taylor Greene, AOC, and Jasmine Crockett. Y'all do not want to miss this. Hang with me. I'll be right back.
Right? You do it. You make her happy, so you'll be all right.
And happy wife normally is about happy life for me.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It ain't about her. It's about you.
So Van says that because Jewish people showed up for Black Americans during the Civil Rights era, he now feels compelled to stand with them now. Let me be clear.
What's the white liberal ideology I'm following?
I'm not saying you.
No, that's what you said. So I'm saying which one?
No one is free until we are all free. There's no room for any injustice.
Welcome back to Night School, family. It's your brother, Marc Lamont Hill. We have so much going on in the world today. So many laws, so many legal battles, so many struggles, so many protests, so many commitments to reshaping the country. And one of the places where that stuff happens the most is Congress. You expect Congress to be a place where there's spirited battles and intense debates. You expect people to be fighting over the grandest of ideas. You expect people to be going back and forth about one political ideology, one economic mode of production, or, you know, one commitment to this movement or that movement. This all feels like stuff you'd be dealing with in Congress. And sometimes it is, but not today and not yesterday. Okay, Thursday night in Congress, things got spicy. Okay, there was a House Oversight Committee meeting, I guess you could say, hearing, that's the right word. There is a House committee that is attempting, for whatever reason, we could talk about that too, right? But there is a House committee, Oversight Committee, that is trying to hold Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress. They want to hold him in contempt. And Republicans just to give you some context, Republicans are trying to hold Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress because Merrick Garland, is the Attorney General. He's also should be on the Supreme Court, but Republicans snaked Barack Obama at the end of his presidency and didn't let it happen. They let it sit there. But they're trying to hold Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress because he has refused to turn over audio recordings of President Biden, who had an interview with Special Counsel Robert Hur. Now, here's why. Just to give you the background. Then I'll get to the spicy part. Stay with me, dog, because again, this is night school. We're not just here to give you spicy headlines. You can go to the blogs for that. I'm trying to break this down for you. It was a dispute over these recordings between the House of Representatives and really the Republicans in the House of Representatives and the White House. And the reason is because Joe Biden said those files, those interview recordings, that's executive privilege. The president has the right to hold on to them and not share them. Okay. So the House Judiciary and Oversight panels have said, you know what? We're going to hold you in contempt for not complying with the congressional subpoena, right? We want you to hand over those tapes. Now, why do they want him to hand over the tapes so bad? It's a good question. Well, because Republicans know that this man, Robert Hur, described President Biden as a, quote, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. Now, look, Joe Biden is a lot of things. Young ain't one of them, right? President Biden right now is 81 years old. So yes, he is an old man. He's elderly. He is well-meaning to some people. I have a different opinion about Joe Biden, but his well-meaningness isn't relevant right now. He's a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. That's how they described him. Now, of course, Joe Biden doesn't like that description. He personally thinks it's wrong, but also he's running for president. You can't run for president when people thinking you old and forgetful. So Republicans are saying, look, if you give us the tapes, we'll know more than what's in that transcript, and we'll be able to tell a fuller picture, a fuller story of what's going on here, right? The White House doesn't want to let them go. They say because national security, executive privilege, whatever, right? I don't think that's why. I think Joe Biden is old and forgetful, and the files prove it, or they prove that other people think it. One of the claims is that Biden doesn't even remember the year his son passed. Rest in peace to his son. I'm not making light of that or dismissive of that. I'm not dismissive of that. I'm just saying that's the claim. And so Republicans are always trying to get a hold of recordings of Biden. They want to know his conversations with Mark Zwanitzer. Is that his name? Zwanitzer? Yeah, Mark Zwanitzer. That's his ghostwriter. And other things to understand something. Now, if we were to read the Republicans generously, we'd say, well, we want to understand how Joe Biden handled classified information. Robert Hur was the one who investigated that. So therefore, we want to see everything. But the truth is, they want written evidence that people think Joe Biden is old and crazy, and Joe Biden doesn't want to give up evidence that he's old and crazy, right? Or perceived that way. That's the tall and the short of it. Y'all with me? So that's the context. So Republicans don't even want to stop there, right? They have a hearing. In the hearing about contempt, Marjorie Taylor Greene, y'all know Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's a Republican from Georgia, interesting woman, from what I can tell, an ideologue, a right-wing ideologue. She is a dyed-in-the-wool MAGA person. She is a deep conspiracy theorist, although she's a young politician, relatively speaking, especially in this country. She's 49. So she's not like old school, but she often carries with her some of the old school thoughts about politics, about race, about gender. She promotes the craziest of theories, QAnon, Pizzagate, all the stuff. And from all indications, she is deeply anti-Semitic. So she's like all the things that the right runs from in terms of branding, but she is a very popular Republican. So she goes to this meeting. Let's get to the spicy part. She goes to this meeting. She's at this hearing, right? And instead of talking about Merrick Garland, which would make sense, Marjorie Taylor Greene decides to ask if any of the Democrats on the committee have employed Juan Merchant. Who's Juan Merchant? Again, because you're like, where's all these names coming from? I'm with you. Juan Merchant is a judge in Donald Trump's criminal trial in New York. What does it have to do with what we're talking about? Nothing. I'm going to say it again. In the middle of this hearing about Robert Hur, in the middle of this hearing about Merrick Garland, in the middle of this hearing about Joe Biden, in the middle of this conversation about classified files, she randomly says, hey, any of y'all employ the daughter of Juan Merchant, the judge who's overseeing Donald Trump's criminal trial in New York? Now, of course, that's not an accident. She doesn't have a senior moment, as they say, because she ain't but 49. What she's doing is grandstanding for the people who aren't in that chamber, for the everyday Americans who believe conspiracy theories. Remember, she's a QAnon Pizzagate person. And she wants to make the claim that because the judge of Donald Trump's trial has ties to Democrats, that there's some elaborate conspiracy where they're paying her daughter, or they're paying Juan's daughter, so that Juan Merchant, Judge Merchant, will somehow do harm to Donald Trump. They're just trying to create more conspiracies in case he's found guilty. So it didn't make any sense, but she does it anyway. Why? Because that's what she does. How do the Democrats respond? Well, they're looking puzzled, and then they respond. In fact, Jasmine Crockett, the freshman representative from Texas, responds in particular. Watch this exchange.
Judge Merchan's daughter.
Please tell me what that has to do with Merrick Garland.
Is she a porn star?
Oh, Goldman. That's right. He's advising. Okay.
He's advising who? What? Do you know what we're here for? You know we're here about AG.
I don't think you know what you're here for.
Well, you the one talking about.
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
No,
what you're
ain't
reading.
nothing.
Hold on.
Listen.
Order.
Mr. Chairman,
That's beneath
would
even
you
your
please
history.
regain
That's beneath
order
even
of your
you.
committee?
Order.
So y'all heard that, right? Marjorie Taylor Greene asked a random ass question that had nothing to do with the conversation. Jasmine Crockett says, why are we talking about this? Do you even know why we're here? What does that have to do with Merrick Garland? She was a little tight. It was a little snarky, the tone, but it was a fair question and not outside the bounds of civil discourse. And then Marjorie Taylor Greene responds by saying, I know what we're here for. Maybe you're not reading it because of your fake eyelashes. She makes a vicious personal attack against a member of Congress. How do you justify that? That is wild. That is so disrespectful. That is beyond disrespectful. In fact, it's just not okay. That's all I can say. It's not okay. Well, I can assure you, as you heard, that everybody else kind of thought it wasn't okay. The Republicans, of course, never criticized each other because, God forbid we actually hold somebody accountable who agrees with us on a political matter. We can still say, hey, I agree with you on politics, but you shouldn't attack people's bodies. Well, Republicans ain't say nothing, but the Democrats are groaning. You heard somebody say that's beneath even you, Mrs. Greene. You know how bad that is? They say it's beneath even you. But the next thing that happens gets spicier. Gets even spicier because Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, also known as AOC, the very popular progressive member of the Squad, a House member from New York, gets fired up after Marjorie Taylor Greene says that. Listen to what she says.
absolutely unacceptable. How dare you attack
meeting will
the
suspend,
physical
meeting will
appearance of another
suspend.
person?
Are your
Move
feelings hurt?
her words down.
Aw.
Oh, girl, baby girl.
Oh, really?
Don't even play. with
Baby
me.
girl?
We're gonna,
I don't
we
think
are going to
so.
move and we're going to take your words down.
I
Thank you very
second that motion.
So who will have to pay?
Now, AOC was clearly mad. I gotta ask y'all though, that baby girl felt a little performative. I don't know. I love AOC. That's my girl. Genuinely love AOC. Genuinely think she's interesting and smart and courageous at times, and is relatively better on most issues I care about than just about everybody else in the Congress. She has stood up for me on Palestine. She has stood up for poor people everywhere. I respect AOC, and I'm glad that she defended Jasmine Crockett, because it's up to the more powerful members of Congress to respond to the respond on behalf of the less powerful members of Congress without overstepping them. So I like the way she handled it. She stepped in and said, "How dare you speak about somebody's physical appearance that way?" The baby girl didn't feel quite natural for me. Look, she's from the BX. She's from the BX. Shout out to my people from the BX. She definitely was mad, and it was genuine. The baby girl for me, I wasn't sold on. But look, that's just my own little hip hop sensibilities. Don't pay me no mind. The more important point is she stepped in. Now, here's what happens next, though. Again, the Republicans could have just said Green is wrong. Green could have said, you know what, I went too far, my bad. Instead, Republicans keep having all these weird conversations and all these bizarre votes that sort of imply that that Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't do anything wrong. Now, in the House, just to give y'all some more context, again, we had night school. When somebody says something offensive, or when somebody says something that's outside the boundaries of acceptable discourse, is asked that they strike it from the record. That means that once it is acknowledged that somebody went too far, somebody was out of pocket, there's a kind of a unanimous sentiment that the person that is it's general consensus that they strike it from the congressional record, so there's no living record of it. I.e., this is not how we talk to each other. This is not how we deal. Strike it from the record. Some of y'all in the comments, tell me how the right way to pronounce that, and hit the like button if you pronounce it wrong too. So when she said, "Oh, baby girl, don't even play," Green was like, "Baby girl? I don't think so, baby." Marjorie Taylor Greene is so white and so out of step. She didn't even understand the baby girl part, and she was like, "I'm not a baby. What are we talking about?" She was very confused. Baby girl? I don't think so. But anyway, they keep going. All Green had to do was say, "Oh, I'm sorry." But instead, she stands 10 toes. She says, "Look, I'll strike it from the record, but I refuse to apologize. I refuse to apologize." On what basis do you refuse to apologize for making fun of someone's body? And there's nothing wrong with Jasmine Crockett's eyebrows, eyelashes, nothing. She's not somebody, not that anybody deserves to be made fun of, but it was a stupid comment that wasn't based in anything, but you still don't do it. Republicans won't stand with her, right? Instead, the Republicans, the majority of them anyway, eventually said they voted to let her keep talking. One exception was Lauren Boebert of Colorado, who often can say some wing nutty, crazy things. But Boebert and Green don't rock. So that made that easy. But ultimately, the conversation wasn't going to die there. It couldn't, because Green wouldn't apologize. The Republicans were basically saying, this wasn't personal. This wasn't about personalities. Republicans are basically saying, like, don't get caught up in personalities, right? What she said about you wasn't personal. And it's like, what? So here is how our sister Jasmine responded.
Somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
Chairman,
I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's
Hold on.
part of it.
I'm trying to find clarification on what
Chairman,
motion to strike
no
those
idea
words.
what you just said.
We're not gonna.
It's in 21 seconds.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
Now, people how Jasmine did it. Congressman, I don't know her. Congressman Crockett, I never even met her. She said, point of order. So she's coming into this conversation acting as if she just wants a clarifying question on what constitutes dealing with personalities, what constitutes a personal attack. She's just she's like, look, I'm just asking questions here. Since y'all saying what she did wasn't wrong, I'm gonna ask a question about what is wrong. Now, while Mr. Comer, right, is overseeing this, right? He, of course, is a Republican. That's the chair of the House Oversight Committee, the White House. I'm sorry. James Comer is the chair of the House Oversight Committee. He's a Republican. So he's overseeing this, right? So he lets Jasmine enter the conversation. But peep my man to the left, because that's where it gets funny, right? That's where it gets funny, right? This is our brother, Jamie Raskin from Maryland. He's a Democrat, generally progressive on the right side of most issues. Watch his face when Jasmine Crockett asked this question.
Green for 4 minutes and 21 seconds.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
Point of order.
Who's?
It's me.
Ms. Crockett.
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
Chair.
Now, at this point, a couple things are happening. I think James Comer literally didn't understand none of them words. He wasn't here for, he just didn't understand the jokes. I'll play it one more time. He didn't know what was happening. But listen to the laughter in the background. And he said, say what now? Look at Jamie Raskin on the left of Mr. Comer, of James Comer, and then look at Ms. Crockett as she's like, two things, right? She's like, how the F did he not hear me? And two, where am I? Because I just got one off. Did y'all see that I just got this joint off? Did y'all see I just got that off?
Mr. Chair, point of order.
Who's?
It's me.
Ms. Crockett.
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
Chairman, I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's
Hold on.
part of it.
I'm trying to find clarification.
Now peep that. Now you heard the Republicans quickly move to strike those words. They didn't move quickly to strike Marjorie Taylor Greene's, but they quickly want to move to strike Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine is doing what I would do too. She's like, look, I'm just asking questions. It's just a point of clarity.
And I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's
By the way, don't come for black women. Don't come for black women. Don't come for black women in the Congress, in particular in the U.S. Congress, because the ones that are active are sharp. Don't come for deltas. You know what I mean? And don't come for black women's bodies, their hair, their eyelashes, their fingers. Any of that is going to make you end up looking crazy, right?
I'm trying to find clarification on what quality.
Chairman, motion to strike those words. I had no idea what you just said.
We're not gonna do this. Look, you guys earlier literally just
you just voted to do it.
Y'all did it first, so you don't want to talk about
voted to do it.
Order.
I'm gonna give y'all some advice right here. As somebody who knows black women, has had a black sister, she passed away recently, a couple years ago, married to a black woman. When a black woman's finger and hand start moving like that, watch this. Once the hand do that and retracts, bro, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. Things have escalated. And the only thing that you can do is remain silent, let it pass, and apologize. And the only thing that you absolutely 1000% must not do is tell her to calm down. Telling her to calm down is the one thing that you should absolutely never, ever do. Because one, it's dismissive and disrespectful. And two, it never works. No one in the history of calming down has calmed down when somebody said calm down. All right? So Peep this.
Just voted to do
Y'all
it.
did it first, so you don't want to talk about
voted to do it.
Order.
I'm trying to get clarification.
Look at
She's like, wait a minute, y'all just voted on her and let her rock. Why all of a sudden you trying to strike me? Don't act brand new right now. And now you hear her tone is going up. The hand is retracting and moving and retracting. This ain't gonna go good for Shorty.
calm down. Calm down.
No, because this is
And there's the calm down. Never, ever, ever, I said it again, tell a black woman to calm down, especially when you the reason she mad.
what
Let's
y'all
get
do.
through proceedings.
So I'm trying to
Hey,
get
Miss
clarification.
Crockett, you're not
Y'all wanna
recognized.
play
Miss
games,
I can't hear
Crockett.
you with your
and
yelling.
You don't want
calm
me to
down.
Be,
Can
no,
you please calm
don't
down?
tell me to calm down.
Calm down.
Because y'all
Please
talk
calm
noise,
down.
and then you
You're
can't
out of
take
control.
Because if I
Look,
come,
Chairman,
if I
can
come
we
and
send
talk
outside to
shit
take a
about
break
her,
for 5
y'all gonna
minutes?
have a problem.
Mr.
Order.
Chairman.
All right, Chair.
Jasmine turned all the way. I gotta stop calling her Jasmine. It's just I feel like I know her. I've never met this woman. And Congressman Crockett turned all the way up. Now, people gonna say, well, she didn't have to get that mad. Well, first, she didn't get that mad at first. She was chill when they first came for her. She just articulated her concerns, as did her colleagues like AOC. Then they basically didn't force an apology from MTG. And look, who wants her stupid apology? It wouldn't have been sincere anyway. But then after not accepting the apology or not giving the apology, they then call on her again. And she says, well, look, if y'all not moving right, I'm going to take this into my own hands. I'm going to call her bip, 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 bip. Now, everybody's mad. You see, when the black woman is attacked, nobody was tripping on the Republican side. When MTG is attacked, oh, everybody's upset. This is just a bridge too far. Now, I don't think this is primarily racial. I think it's primarily Republicans and Democrats. But there is also a very particular type of haste with which every man moves, sadly, when white women are attacked. And in this case, Jasmine wasn't attacking, she was defending herself. Congressman Crockett was defending herself. And she didn't turn all the way up until they dismissed her. And this is what oftentimes white people do to black people. They'll poke you, they'll insult you, they'll disrespect you, they'll engage in all these microaggressions. And then when you get mad, they say, calm down. And they know that telling you to calm down delegitimizes your feelings, which then angers you more. So although they're the perpetrator of the harm, they start going, please just be quiet, just calm down. Everything will be okay if you just calm down, which then makes you turn up. And then as you turn up, they can say, oh, look at her, she's so angry, she was irrational. When this whole exchange began, when Marjorie Taylor Greene engaged in a random diversion or digression from the conversation, number one. Number two, insults Jasmine Crockett, insults AOC, saying she's not smart, and randomly challenges her to a debate. This has nothing to do with Congress. This is all about gesturing to the red hat wearing racists all around the country. And everybody's just watching the show. It's disturbing, it's disgusting, it's frustrating. There's nothing good in it. But telling Jasmine to calm down, telling Jasmine Crockett to calm down was wrong. And so by the time she escalates to this point,
Calm down.
And then
You're out of control.
Because if I
Look,
come,
Chairman,
if I
can
come
we
and
send
talk
outside to
shit
take a
about
break
her,
for 5
y'all
minutes?
gonna have a problem.
Mr.
Order.
Chairman.
Chair.
now that was the worst thing they've ever heard. But she basically said in one sentence what I just spent like 20 minutes saying. She said, y'all pop off and then can't take it. But if I talk shit about her, y'all gonna have a problem. That's race and gender politics in America 101. The sad part is we will spend more time talking about this battle than talking about reparations, than talking about than even talking about the weapons bill that's going overseas to the Middle East, than talking about immigration right here in the United States, than talking about educational policy right here in the United States. We're even talking more about the most people who are talking about this beef in Congress don't even know what the hearing was about. They don't know about Merrick Garland. They don't know about the attempt to hold him in contempt. I'm not saying that to diss American citizens or viewers or voters or anything like that. I'm saying that me, Mark, as a media representative and as now someone who has an independent media platform, I need to do a better job of not just telling you what just happened, which was spicy and interesting and funny, especially for Friday night, but also breaking down all the other things that get ignored. Because we can't only focus on Congress when somebody does something wild, or crazy, and stupid, because that only incentivizes people like Marjorie Taylor Greene to keep doing things that are wild and crazy and stupid. We about to leave, but before we go, I got one more thing I want to talk to you about real quick. It's about Caitlin Clark. We'll be back in 30 seconds, and I'll tell you all about it.
Right? You make her happy, so you'll be all right.
And happy wife normally is about happy life for me.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It ain't about her. It's about you.
So Van says that because Jewish people showed up for Black Americans during the Civil Rights era, he now feels compelled to stand with them now. Let me be clear.
What's the white liberal ideology I'm following?
I'm not saying you.
No, that's what you said. So I'm saying, which one? No one is free until we are all free. There's no room for any injustice.
All right, family, welcome back to Night School. We got one more topic that I have to talk to y'all about. My producer, Princess, is not here tonight, but she would love this conversation. She would love this conversation because she is what we call a hater. Shout out to you, Princess. Princess hates how much I love Caitlin Clark. If y'all don't know Caitlin Clark, she is the hottest basketball player in the country right now, the most famous, the most well-known. Not saying the best, just saying the most famous and the most well-known, although I have some thoughts. Caitlin Clark was the darling of the media last year when she bumped into Angel Reese and LSU, losing in the national championship after defeating Dawn Staley's USC, University of South Carolina team in the Final Four. This year they lost to, they beat LSU but lost to USC. It's the way to mop flop sometimes. Anyway, Caitlin Clark is the all-time leading scorer in NCAA history. She's the all-time greatest shooter, three-point shooter in NCAA history. She got the most points. There are very few records in women's basketball that Caitlin Clark does not have, and there are very few scoring and shooting awards in men's or women's college basketball that Caitlin Clark does not hold. Caitlin Clark is a white girl. Maybe I should mention her name is Caitlin, so I thought y'all might know that. But if you don't watch basketball, you might not know that. Caitlin is a white woman, white girl, white woman. She's grown now, I guess. And people have often said that she is getting all the benefits of white privilege, that she is a good player who's being cast as great, or a great player who's being cast as the greatest ever. This is the argument about Caitlin Clark. And so people honestly have, in my opinion, overstated her weaknesses and understated her greatness. I think that there is a legitimate case to be made that Caitlin Clark is the greatest women's player that college basketball has ever produced. She certainly had the greatest career. That doesn't mean she's the best. Christian Laettner in men's basketball probably had the greatest career, along with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. We could probably say Christian Laettner and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, probably the two best college players we've ever seen if we're talking about their careers. Doesn't mean that Christian Laettner was more dominant than Shaq. It doesn't mean, that, people who were number one picks consensus like Tim Duncan weren't better prospects. It just means in college, if you talk about victories, success, domination of the competition, etc., there's some serious cases to be made for Caitlin Clark. Is she my college GOAT? No. Cheryl Miller is, but we got also Cheryl Swoops. We got a few people who would be in that, and I'm from Philly, so I love Dawn Staley. So I have a few, but Caitlin Clark is special, and we have to acknowledge that. She, despite being called overrated by a lot of haters, Caitlin Clark was the number one pick in the WNBA draft. That is not a coincidence. That is not a coincidence. She's number one pick in the WNBA draft because she was the best player in the WNBA draft. Y'all can talk all that stuff y'all want about UConn and all this and that, all this and all that. She is special. She is dominant. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. The season has started. And Caitlin Clark has not gotten off to the start that some people predicted. I was one of the people who said Caitlin Clark is going to have an immediate impact in women's basketball. I said she is going to be a dominant player in women's basketball from the beginning. There are people like you, Princess, probably out there, my producer. Shout out to Princess, enjoying her, living her best life, hopefully. Not having to hang with me tonight. That makes your life automatically better. Who says she's going to struggle. But it wasn't just people like, fans and people who, prefer Angel Reese or who were big fans of, other teams and other people. It was people like Diana Taurasi. I mean, it doesn't get any more decorated. It doesn't get any more respected. It doesn't get any more brilliance in terms of a basketball mind than Diana Taurasi. Diana Taurasi is an NBA legend at this point, right? She was a college legend. And when you look at her career from UConn to Team USA, I mean, she's bringing the medals, the championships. Now she's in the WNBA. When you look at somebody like that, Diana Taurasi, when she says Caitlin Clark is going to struggle when she gets to the WNBA, that's not crazy talk. The woman has been in the WNBA now 20 years. This is her 20th season, I believe. She has tons of scoring records, top 15 players of all time, top 25 players of all time, MVP of the league, 5 Olympic gold medals, 3 WNBA championships, #1 overall pick, rookie of the year. She's all the things, right? There's just no argument that that she's not a decorated champion, 3-time NCAA champion. I mean, I'm talking about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Christian later. You'd have to add Diana Taurasi among other people to the greatest player of all time, greatest college player of all time. Right? She said Caitlin was going to struggle. Some people said, yeah, Diana Taurasi said it. That makes it true. Caitlin ain't shit. Other people said Diana Taurasi hating because now there is a new sheriff on the block. And Diana Taurasi is just hating. She's just guarding her territory because, she's the new white girl on the block. Diana's like, I forget where she's like Argentinian, maybe Argentine. She's Argentine and something. I don't know. Maybe it's Italy. I think she had time. I don't know. I don't know if she's part Italian or just lived there and played. Your dad was a soccer player in Italy. Point being, she white. She looked white. And so a lot of people said they're just fighting over who's going to be the best white player ever, who's going to be the white GOAT. You know what I'm saying? All that said, the preseason came and Caitlin Clark had some pretty good games. She had some pretty good games, but she still didn't look like herself to me. Now we go to the start of the regular season, and Caitlin Clark has 2 games so far. First game, her team, Indiana, lost. They lost by 21 points. It was a blowout. They lost 92-71, which is a pretty strong mollywopping. They lost to the Connecticut Sun, right? Again, the UConn. Connecticut got some women's basketball in pro, college, whatever. Caitlin came out the gate with 20 points. Now, people say 20 points is not a small thing, but she had 10 turnovers too. Caitlin Clark had 10 turnovers, 20 points and 10 turnovers. So 10 turnovers is the most turnovers in the history of the WNBA for a player's first game. So she set a rather ignoble record on her first night. And people say, see, this is what we're talking about. Yeah, anybody can score 20 points if they just keep shooting. Anybody, if they just keep jacking up points, can score 20 points. The point is Caitlin Clark was getting her ass handed to her. She was getting well defended. She couldn't handle it. She's a fraud. I'm hearing that. Go to Twitter. If you think I'm being hyperbolic or making a straw man, please go to Twitter, go to any social media, or go on this blasted YouTube, go on the interwebs and see what happened. What you're going to see is people saying she's a fraud, she's a liar, you know what I mean? She's no good. We told you. This was all media hype. et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And here's the problem. All of that is ridiculous. All of that is ridiculous. 20 points is a lot of points against professional basketball players. But 10 turnovers is also an indefensible amount of turnovers for an elite point guard and for a franchise player. No player should get 10 turnovers ever. If you're not a franchise player, you shouldn't be having 10 turnovers because you shouldn't be playing that much. You should be back on the bench. And if you are a franchise player, you got to protect the ball, right? Anyway, the next game, she plays the New York Liberty. That means not they play the New York Liberty. Indiana plays the New York Liberty. The New York Liberty beat them. They beat the brakes off of them. Let me be honest with you. They beat Indiana by a score of 102 to 66. This is last night in New York. They lost by 36 points to New York. Caitlin Clark didn't have 20 points this time, though. Caitlin Clark had 9 points on 2 of 8 shooting. So she shot 25% from the field, only made 2 field goals, only had 9 points. She also had some other numbers that were encouraging. She had 7 rebounds and she had 6 assists. But Caitlin Clark did not look like the best player in the world. She did not look like the best player on the court. I think the best player on the court that night, from what I could see, well, there were 2 people, right? One is Breanna Stewart, who's the Liberty MVP. And then there was also Betnijah Laney Hamilton. Betnijah Laney Hamilton is, I don't like to compare women to men. I'll just say she's one of the better defenders in the WNBA. She is an elite on-the-ball defender, and she was in Caitlin Clark's ass up and down the court. She made everything difficult for her in a way that Caitlin probably has never seen, right? Because when you play UConn, there's a lot of people, but you know what I mean? When you play these elite teams, it's one night out of 20, maybe one night out of 5 or 10, and you keep working the system, right? Because there's a lot of weaknesses on the team, but now everybody's a pro. And Caitlin Clark was well defended, and she finished with 9, 8, and 7. And now Diana Taurasi is looking like a prophet. People are like, oh my God, she was right. Now all the haters are looking vindicated. Here's the truth. Caitlin Clark, I still believe, is the best player in this year's rookie class. Caitlin Clark right now, today on May 17th, is probably one of the top 20, maybe top 10 players in the WNBA right now at this moment. But it always takes a minute to adjust. Now, I'm not copping a plea because I know I say she's going to come in and be an elite player right away. I still believe that. But even as an elite player, you're going to have a night or two where you struggle. You don't think LeBron James had a bad night in his rookie year, even though he was an elite player from the beginning? You don't think Kobe Bryant struggled for 4 years, right? He didn't even start. Shaq came out the gate dominating, but I'll tell you something. He still had some off nights. Now, the difference between, somebody like a Candace Parker and a Caitlin Clark, and I think they're both elite players coming out of college. Although, again, Caitlin was the best player in her program and didn't have strong teammates. People coming out of Tennessee, people coming out of Connecticut, people coming out of USC now, people coming out of the other USC, shout out to Juju. Their adjustments are different. Their defensive assignments aren't as tough. They don't have as much pressure to take every shot. I mean, there's a lot of things that are different when you're a great player on a great team versus a great player on a mediocre team. And sometimes you make your teammates look better, which is what Caitlin Clark did for the last 2 years, especially this last year. That said, Caitlin Clark is a guard. And when you come into the NBA or the WNBA as a guard, there are a lot of things you have to learn. You have to learn a different pace of play calling. You have to deal with more athletic and quick defenders. You also have to be a more athletic and quick defender. Caitlin Clark ain't never going to be confused with a defender. She's a mediocre defender at best. She's a solid team defender, but really a mediocre individual one-on-one defender. She's going to have to grow in that area. But now she's used to people being more physical with her, people chasing her, people going on top of screens. She's a tough cover, but there's some great defenders, and she's learning that. So to me, the lesson of all of Caitlin Clark's early struggles is not that Caitlin Clark is a fraud. That's not it. Caitlin Clark's not a fraud. But coming in as an Angel Reese, for example, I see this person saying you've watched zero Angel Reese. That's not true. I actually watched Angel Reese play both in the preseason and in the regular season and in college. Angel Reese is a very good, solid player. I think Angel Reese is going to be a good pro. I think she's going to be a very good pro. I don't think she's going to be as good a pro as Caitlin Clark. I don't think she's going to be anywhere near as good a pro as Caitlin Clark. I think Caitlin Clark is going to go down as one of the greats of all time. And she may end up being the best player we've ever seen. Literally. She may go down as the best women's basketball player we've ever seen. But when you are a big, when you're down there in the post banging, you know, some of those adjustments are different. Again, you got to get used to physicality. You got to get used to increased athleticism. Everybody's your height. I'm not saying bigs got it easy. I'm just saying it's a different kind of adjustment from bigs to a point guard, given the growth in athleticism. So the lesson here is not that Caitlin Clark is a fraud. The lesson here is not that Caitlin Clark isn't an elite basketball player. The lesson is, number one, most of y'all underestimated how good the WNBA was. The problem is many people, I'm talking mostly about men here, kept arguing WNBA is trash. It's not a good product. Nobody can play. And so some of you all who were trumpeting Caitlin Clark as the savior of women's basketball were doing so not because she was incredibly popular and talented and just a spectacular person to watch play because of her style of play. It wasn't that. It's because y'all thought she was the first one that knew how to play. And that's why a lot of people got mad. Because before there's a Caitlin Clark, there is a Cheryl Swoops. There is a Swin Cash. There is again a Sue Bird. There is a Diana Taurasi. There was a Dawn Staley. Right? There was a Cheryl Miller if we go all the way back. Again, Cheryl Miller, I still think is the GOAT. So in that context, when y'all act like Caitlin Clark is the first person to discover basketball, of course, it doesn't just piss people off because it's ahistorical and it erases all these women, mostly Black women, who pioneered this thing, but it also makes it seem like the WNBA isn't already a good product. That Caitlin Clark was just going to come in scoring 50 a night. I didn't think Caitlin Clark was going to come in and scoring 50 a night, but I do think Caitlin Clark's going to average 20, 22 points a night in her rookie year, which is extraordinary. I think she's going to have a couple bad nights. I think she's going to light people up. Here's another thing to remember. Caitlin Clark is playing for one of the worst teams in the WNBA. That's not an excuse, that's a fact. The way to get the number one pick in the WNBA is to do what? To lose a lot. How you think San Antonio got Tim Duncan and David Robinson and Wembanyama? They lost a bunch. How you think Cleveland got LeBron James? They lost a bunch. So you can't look at Caitlin Clark's team being 0-2 and say, well, that means that they're not very good, or she's not very good, or she can't raise a team. She's literally playing the two best teams in the NBA. She's a box office smash. So of course they have her playing New York because they want to see her play against New York. The world wants to see the biggest markets play the best players. Just like when LeBron was a rookie, they wanted him to be in LA playing the Lakers. They wanted him to be in New York playing the Knicks. They wanted him to be in Miami playing the Heat. They wanted him in Chicago playing the Bulls. The big markets. So Caitlin Clark being extraordinary doesn't mean that she can play for 5 people. Women's basketball players are elite athletes. They are superior athletes. And Caitlin Clark is, I think, the upper echelon of that, of those athletes. But she's still a team. She's still part of the team. She's still going to develop. She's still going to grow. So please, don't make this about Caitlin, because I don't believe that it is. It means that she has to adjust. And she will. She will adjust. She's going to be an elite player. She's going to be an elite player this year. She's going to be a star. She's going to be a Hall of Famer. She's going to be one of the best ever. But maybe, just maybe, those of you who are thinking that Caitlin Clark ain't shit could now look at it differently and say, no, maybe Caitlin Clark is a great player, but maybe all these other women are also great players. And maybe that's why, in addition to championing the cause of Caitlin Clark, some of y'all who only love Caitlin Clark should also look at all these Black women, all these extraordinary athletes, all these dominant figures in the WNBA who opened the door and held space for Caitlin Clark. So we don't have to choose between loving Caitlin Clark's basketball game and honoring the other sisters in the league. Let's do both. Let's honor the league. Let's respect the talent that the WNBA is. And let's also affirm the fact that Caitlin Clark is something special. That's all I wanted to say, y'all. Anyway, I want to thank y'all for watching Night School tonight. It's been a pleasure to talk to y'all. Next up is the War on Gaza report. You can get right to it as soon as we log off here, but I want to shout out a couple people. Odette Marie, once again, gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We appreciate you. GC said, I know it's off topic, but are you for immigration, and does Native persons have the right to not let anyone migrate if they so choose? I will answer your question during office hours in more detail, but I want to give you an answer because you did send a super chat. I do support immigration. I do support limits on immigration if it made sense for a reason, but I don't support just general blocking of immigration into the country, especially when this country is often responsible for creating the conditions that compel people to leave their homes, risk it all, and come here, whether risking it just because of the normal risks of leaving your country or specific risks at the southern border. But I support safe, legal immigration, but I also understand why people take other routes. So all of it is part of the conversation, but I don't like the we got to stop immigration because they're taking our jobs discourse. I don't like the we got to stop immigration because they're bringing the, like Donald Trump said, the rapists and the muggers and the drug. No, that's not what we're doing. I think we've taken other ones here. MTG official BNA Music said MTG was flying under Black people's radar because she's avoided addressing Black people directly. Now she's Black Twitter famous. Now folks will go learn things people who are plugged already knew about her. That's true. I think she may have made a bad mistake by being on this radar. Because there might be some people in Georgia who are now going to leave their house, especially in Atlanta, ATL, Georgia. You got people in West End, Atlanta, people in the SWATs who going to come out and now be like, yo, who is Marjorie Taylor Greene? I ain't voting for her. And that influx of new Democratic voters in Atlanta, Fulton County, could result in a loss for Donald Trump in September. So just be mindful. Sometimes there's unintended consequences of being ridiculous. Nevia Bella Orbeja says, we love and appreciate you, Mark. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Definitely got to hear my Blesh Blonde Bad Built Butch Body remix. Yo, she definitely went in on that. I got to say, though, I wanted to say this earlier. I don't like what MTG said about Jasmine Crockett, and I'm not telling Jasmine Crockett how to respond, but I hate the fact that so much energy now is being spent talking about women's bodies and describing them and judging them and assessing them and criticizing them. And I also, while I appreciated the alliteration of Jasmine Crockett, I didn't love the fact that she said butch, because mocking, saying she's a butch body can lead to all kinds of homophobic narratives and et cetera. I don't think that was her intention. I think she was going for a hood alliteration. I get it. I ain't mad at her, but I do wish with some time, maybe she would have thought of something different. She hadn't been freestyling. I think she would have said something different. Jazz LP said, shout out to Jazz, Dallas's finest. She said, Mark, I haven't been receiving your alerts since Tuesday. Nevertheless, I present and accounted for as indicated by my like. Thank you so much. Thank you for the generous donation, Jazz. And also, everybody, make sure you're getting your alerts. Make sure you're subscribed. If you love what we're doing on Night School, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button right now, and hit the subscribe button right now. Also, hit that little bell to get updated notifications for whenever we go live. I'm not sure what's happening, Jazz, but I'll look into it, and y'all should look into it. Shout out to Chad Zichterman for gifting a membership. He has gifted many memberships this month, and the fact that he's doing another one is so beautiful. Hopefully, one of y'all was able to snatch that. Selena Tellisford, thank you so much for the super sticker. Thank you for the generosity. Everybody, we are doing independent media. I don't know if y'all noticed, but I've been changing some things around here. We got more staff. We got more people. We got more support. We got more video. We got a lot of stuff. You see me tonight. It was a special because it's Friday, but Monday to Thursday, you'll see me shooting this now from a studio. This is all because of your support. And your support is only going to be more consequential as we move into June, July, August, September. Why? Because there's election season. Why? Because mainstream media outlets are trying to silence independent outlets. Why? Because the power structure is designed at this moment in history, especially to silence conversations about poverty, conversations about occupation, conversations about apartheid, conversations about transphobia, conversations about reparations. We're doing all of it here on the channel. But for us to have a fighting chance, I need your support. So please, everybody, go to Cash App, MLHTV if you want, $ MLHTV, Venmo, MLHTV. Also, as you see the scroll, we got PayPal scrolling underneath. We got Zelle scrolling underneath. You can also join the channel. The thing that I would love the most is if you all join the channel. I would love tonight if a couple people would make a donation to the channel. I would love if some people would join the channel. We have memberships from bronze all the way up to diamond. So if some of you right now would just say, you know what, we're going to do a bronze membership so that my $5 a month will go towards supporting independent media and also toward getting more work done, also toward getting more studio space built, also toward hiring more staff, also toward creating more programs with more hosts so that I'm not the only one talking on the channel. All this will happen with your support. Everybody, I know y'all wanted my thoughts and my take on Aubrey versus Kendrick. You're right. I did say I was going to do that. I'm going to do that in office hours next. So I'm going to do the Gaza update for about 10 minutes, and then we'll jump into office hours where I will tell you why Kendrick and Drake's beef is officially over by my assessment, and I'll tell you who won. So stay here with me on the channel. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. It's been a pleasure to build with you. I'll see you next time, not tomorrow because it's Saturday, but on Monday for night school. Monday to Friday, 9 p.m. Spread the word, spread the content, and spread your investment, not financial investment I'm talking about right now, your emotional investment, your psychological investment, your political investment in independent media. What does that mean? It means that in addition to watching all the corporate outlets, make sure you support not just me, but all these independent podcasts and blogs and TV networks and streaming networks. I want you to do all of it so that we have a voice, so that we have a fighting chance. That's what this is about. You know, I'd love for you all to support my channel, but even if you don't want to support my channel, support somebody's channel, because we all could use the support. We could all use the work. We could all use the love. We could all use the investment. All right. I'll see y'all later. Thank you for watching Night School.